In this video, I'm going to discuss the top 3 concepts that every singer, songwriter, and pianist must know. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Keira, founder of Modern Pianista. On this channel, we discuss all things regarding artistry, entrepreneurship, and music education. The first concept I want to talk about is called scale degrees. Scale degrees are super important to know because it helps you play your favorite songs. Everything in music is based off of a scale, and we use a lot of numbers. So if we're talking about our C major scale, they're all numbered. So your C scale, which I've gone over in previous videos, looks like this. If you haven't learned this before or need to go over it, I'll be sure to link the previous tutorials in my description of this video. So your scale is numbered. Every note on this scale, or any scale for that matter, has a number, meaning the C is the 1, the D is the 2, the E is the 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and then we're back at 1 when we get back to C. The reason why this is so important is because when you're building chords, you need to understand that a basic triad chord are built off of the scale degrees 1, 3, and 5. Your basic 7th chord is built off of the scale degrees 1, 3, 5, and 7. And as you start building more and more complex chords and using both hands, for example, you creating a voicing, like this is your C major 7 voiced differently. You have your 1 here, your 7 here, your 3 here, and your 5 here. So it's very important to understand scale degrees for many reasons. This same numerical concept applies to chords as well. So this is the 1 chord, this is the 2 chord, this is the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, the 7 chord, and then we're back at 1. The reason why this is so important is because it helps you learn chord progressions, which is just a series of chords that determine the structure of a song. So the second concept I want to talk about is chord progressions. So when you're learning how to play your favorite songs on the piano, it's really helpful to understand a formula. When you're coming from a major scale, knowing that your 1, 4, and 5 chord are always major and your 2, 3, and 6 are always minor is super helpful. Let me repeat that. Your 1, 4, and 5 are always going to be major chords. Your 2, 3, and 6 are always going to be minor chords. Your 7 chord is going to be diminished, and we won't talk about it in this video because you don't use diminished chords too often. It's very nice to use diminished chords, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So chord progressions are just a series of chords that determine the structure of a song. You'd be surprised to know that millions of songs use the exact same chord progression. It's used by millions of artists and millions of hit songs, but they're in different keys and there's different elements added. So if you don't study music, you might not spot the same chord progression right away. A really common chord progression that I'll be going over in this video is 1, 5, 6, 4. This chord progression has been used by everyone from the Beatles to Taylor Swift to Lady Gaga and so much more. So a song that I start a lot of my young piano students off on is All Too Well by Taylor Swift. This follows the chord progression 1, 5, 6, 4. So if we're in the key of C, which is the key signature that the song is in, our 1 chord is the C chord, our 5 chord is the G chord, our 6 chord is the A minor chord, and our 4 chord is the F chord. Now I'm going to demo this for you by holding a corresponding octave in my left hand below. What this does is it helps you add a little volume, a little power to your sound. You get both hands moving. You can add some rhythmic elements and start singing and having a really good time like a singer-songwriter should. So here goes. Oh, your sweet disposition and my wide-eyed gaze. You're singing in the car, getting lost upstate. Autumn leaves falling down like pieces in a place, and I can picture it after all these days. And I know it's long gone and that magic's not here no more. And I might be okay, but I'm not fine at all. 'Cause there we are again on that little town street. You almost ran the red 'cause you were looking over at me. Wind in my hair, I was there. I remember it all too well. This exact same chord progression, 1-5-6-4, was also used by the Beatles for their iconic hit Let It Be. Now, I'm going to play a very simple version of this song just to demonstrate the chord progression. The Beatles obviously use seventh chords and different rhythmic elements and passing phrases that have made this song so beautiful that it's going to be a classic till the end of time. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. The last concept I want to talk about is called voice leading. I demoed both Taylor Swift and the Beatles using root position chords to keep it simple and to show you the 1-5-6-4 chord progression, but the best way to cover a song would be to voice lead your chords. Meaning, if you're coming from your 1 C chord and you're trying to get to your 5 G chord, instead of picking up your entire hand and going to the root position G, there is an inversion of G that you can get to, which would be faster and sound better. So you have C, E, G already going, meaning you have one of the notes of your G chord. So instead of picking up your whole hand and going to a root position G chord, you can just let go of C and E and grab B and D instead. Now you have to hit this G again, so this would look like this. C, E, G, voice leading to B, D, G. One more time, that's C, E, G, voice leading to B, D, G. So we have C, E, G to B, D, G, and sometimes the nearest voice-led chord is the root position chord. I would just go right here to A minor, and you can grab F and let go of E to voice lead to F. So A, C, E, and I'm looking for F, A, C. I already have A and C. I don't need E, so I swap that out for F, meaning my 2 finger scoots over to C so that my 5 is available to hit F. So you might not start on this C chord, and that would change your voice leading pattern, of course. Let's say you start on this C chord. Then your G chord would be a root position chord. Your A minor chord would probably look like this. And your F chord would be in root position. So it really depends on where you start, but the idea is to go to the nearest inversion instead of just hopping all over the piano using root position chords all the time. So it seems a little bit challenging at first, but if you practice your inversions and you get used to the idea of letting go of the notes that you don't need and swapping them out for the notes that you do need, it actually becomes easier and more efficient to voice lead your chords. Let's try one more pattern. If you're coming from this C chord, E, G, C, which is an inversion of your C chord, you might want to go to this G chord. So I let go of E, I let go of C, and I swapped it out for D and B. Then I would go from D, G, B to E, A, C, making my F chord in root position. So as you can see, there are several combinations on how to voice lead the same 1-5-6-4 chord progression. It depends on what chord you start on. Also, if it just sounds better to go to a root position chord, remember that this is music and what sounds the best is what you should go for. If it's what sounds good, then it's what sounds good. But voice leading is a very, very valuable technique that I didn't learn till way later on, and so I try to shortcut my students to this technique as quickly as possible. So I will be making other videos about scale degrees, chord progressions, and voice leading because these are very nutrient-dense topics in the music world, and one video is definitely not going to cut it. But this will get you started. At least you understand what the concepts are, what things are called, and you can play a couple songs, like some really popular ones like what I used in this video, Taylor Swift and the Beatles. Okay? Let me know how things go in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.